Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Follow Your Passion. Let me introduce my guest of today, Sonja Detrinidad. Sonja spent 16 years in the mortgage industry, and in 2019, she quit her job to sell plants. To do what? Yes, you heard me correctly, to sell plants. She's the proud owner of Partly Sunny Projects, has a following of over 450,000 plant lovers on TikTok with over 10 million views, and is making six-figure sales. If that ain't a success, I ask you what is. Is she working hard? Well, she's sending me emails at 3:30 a.m. But hey, when you're following your passion, is it truly work? Her goal is to show you plans that you didn't even know you wanted. Welcome, Sonja. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So you already told me that plants are your lifelong passion, right? What made you decide to start going for it, so to speak, in 2019?
I think it was a combination of just not really being happy with what I was currently doing, which was working in the mortgage industry. And then I was just really enjoying it. I was getting plants for myself as I was redoing my landscaping. And with that, I was writing commentaries that I was sharing with my friends and other people that were interested in plants. And I liked the feedback when I would write my stories and show my photos. People wanted more. And I thought maybe this is something I could do. And it just kind of started from there. I joined a lot of different groups that were plant oriented. And I was just a wallflower. I just stood back and watched the commentary that came on those sites. And I was looking for things that people were looking for and trying to find kind of a niche in there that I could place myself and do the thing I like, but be a go-to person for people and the things that they needed.
Nice. And I scrolled back on your TikTok account. When I'm correct, the first post you did was March 9, 2019. You got
Yes.
Just below 9,000 views. And 8 days later, 17th of March 2019, you had a post that had 1.1 million views. That's
Also,
amazing.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So did you expect to grow your TikTok following that big?
I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I was nearly 50 at the time. There was no way I was even going to show my face on this app. I just thought I would mess around a little bit. And the platform itself was fairly new at the time. It was all the ads were coming out. Hey, join on TikTok. It was just converting over from Musically or whatever it had been before. And I was very surprised because the followers were really coming in the tens of thousands, like daily. And I thought that was maybe normal because why would everybody be following me? And it just, the growth has been exponential. It stops and goes from time to time, whatever the algorithm does and whoever they, show the videos to changes. But it's, a steady growth path to now that it's almost like 450,000. I'm surprised every day. I'm shocked every day.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And so you're selling plants, right? You're shipping them all over the USA, as
Correct.
I remember. How did that grow in the first few months?
So in the first couple of months, I was really doing more of a personal plant shopping. If you could imagine a huge game where you have to memorize where everything is in the greenhouses. I would take a photo, I would send it to a group of people that I had on WhatsApp. And in return, if they wanted that plant, they would text me back. So I had a running list of everything everyone wanted. And inevitably, at the end of my session, someone would come in and go, oh, I also want these 10. So I would have to go back and try to find everything.
Yeah.
And on any given day when I would do this, and I usually did it on Tuesdays, and we called it Take My Money Tuesday, because I would take their money.
Yeah.
I would have anywhere between 10 and 30 people that I was shopping for. And it was exhausting. It was just me. Southern California in August, September is really hot. And it was going great. And my product kind of got out there. Word of mouth got out there that this is what I was doing. More and more people joined. And with the particular plants that I work with succulents, you don't have to buy the entire plant, roots and all. You can just take a cutting of that plant and it'll grow. And so I was offering cuttings of different varieties of plants.
Yeah.
And the orders just started coming in. And the bane of my existence at the time was doing invoicing. Oh my gosh, send me an email, get it through PayPal, send an invoice through PayPal. Then it comes back and then you have to do the shipping. I was losing my mind. On top of that, packaging. So I turned over to a website. So as people were communicating with me that they wanted my product, I would steer them to the website, because at least in that respect, I didn't have to take their address. I didn't have to follow up on tracking. I didn't have to do anything like that. And then the pandemic hit, where I was doing well by getting out like 30, 40 orders every other week.
Mm-hmm.
In June of 2020, I did 1,200 orders out of my garage.
Wow.
And it was overwhelming. I was blessed that the industry, the agricultural industry, was still open during COVID, because all the work was done outside. Yeah. Everyone was leery the first couple of weeks and everything was closed. And I thought to myself, well, who's going to want to buy a plant? And the answer was everyone. And as people were trapped in their homes, I was providing a source of entertainment, education, and plants that kind of went with it. And it just grew and grew and grew. And I knew that there was something more than just, this is a plant in a pot and here you go. Because I opened the ability for people to leave notes as they were checking out. And to me, I thought, well, they're just going to leave me a note that it's for someone's birthday, or delay shipping, or send me a certain color, right?
Yeah.
No, they started leaving me notes of, you're helping me through my mental health crisis. You're helping me through my sad days, my depression and anxiety. I just lost a child, or I just lost a parent. And suddenly the weight of these plants that I'm putting in these boxes, the weight of them became much heavier, as to it's more than just the plant. People's well-being is tied into the joy that they receive from having this thing to take care of. And so the weight on the shoulders is not a heavy burden. It's a joyful burden, knowing that in many ways, for many people that I've heard, I'm introducing them to something that they wouldn't have thought of to do before, and they're getting joy out of it. I know my gardening and plant habit started from seeing my grandmother's garden and my mother's garden. For me, that was normal and natural. Yeah. But here in the United States, there's a lot of people that simply do not have access to garden spaces, to land. And so everything is indoors. And how do you grow something indoors? And what inspires you to bring a plant into your house? And the fact that I was able to inspire people to do that, I almost want to break my hand, pat myself on the back, because I just think it's so good for them. So
yeah, definitely.
Did I answer your question?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And could you also share that story that you told me that your husband helped you 1 month with all the logistics and the ordering of the plants?
Yeah, he did. And actually this past December, he quit his job, and he's helping me to do that as well. He has gone back to work part-time, but yeah, he helps me as well. And that tickles me, because he's an aerospace engineer, and this is not his wheelhouse. But, we'll be walking somewhere and he'll just grab the corner of a little plant. He goes, oh, that's a crassula. And I'm just like, yes, it is. That's exciting that you know what it is.
Yeah. And I also remember what you shared with me, that you're shipping all over the USA, right? Also to New York City and places.
Yes, the furthest I think that I've shipped a package is to Nome, Alaska, and during winter. I was a little bit on pins and needles about that one, but the package arrived safely and I was thrilled. So that's the furthest one of my packages has gone to.
Yeah. And I remember that your husband asked a question like, who wants to buy a cacti in New York City, or what do they have to do? Because they don't grow there, right?
Right. Yeah. He's like, I don't understand why people are ordering them. Those plants don't grow there. And I said, yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. It's something new for them, and if it doesn't survive, they'll get another one. It's okay.
Yeah. So do people always order the plants, or do you also have a subscription that they get a new plant each month or something like that?
Yeah, I do. I run a little subscription, and so it's just a monthly thing. They get 3 different plants in there. Sometimes they get an air plant, but mostly they get cactus and succulents. So yeah, I have a little subscription service as well.
Nice, nice. And I also remember that well, you said, you opened this notebook, so to speak, on your website, that people could leave a message, right? From,
Yes.
I want to order this, or it's for this person or whatever. But you also said something that people are actually looking forward to receiving your mail, right? Your packages.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's a lot of the connection that I have on the TikTok platform. There's a closeness in there, I guess, that like they know me. So
Yeah.
It's nice that they're leaving me those comments. Those always like make me happy. And I always tuck another little plant in there when I get nice notes.
Yeah, wonderful. And so when you were little, you already said that you had this love for plants and gardening from your mother and your grandmother as well. Mm-hmm. Could you share a little story about it? Was it your mother that made you enjoying gardening, or did you do it together, or how did that start, as far as you can remember?
As far as I can remember, I do vividly remember getting in trouble with my grandmother because I pulled all the flowers off of her bleeding hearts because I thought they were lovely. And her garden was just this small little area. And it's very funny because so I grew up in Croatia, and I have a certain image of what that looked like. And of course, when I went back and I'm like, gosh, this doesn't look like anything that I remember. But I just remember this like small cottage garden. And I remember the house that we lived in, there was a small patch of flowers in the back. And, they grew sustenance as well with vegetables and stuff. And when we moved to the United States, kind of no matter where we were, my mother always dug up the dirt and stuck some tomatoes in the ground, tomatoes and onions and peppers and stuff. And so it was just something we did together. Or, you're making something to eat, you just go out in the garden. That's your, grocery store. Yeah. So it was just normal. And, when I got out on my own, and the first chance that I get, I dug up some dirt, I threw some tomatoes in the ground and started following her cues. She has a beautiful, massive garden. And my gardening styles have changed depending on where I've lived. The type of plants that I used to grow in the Midwest, I cannot do here in California. It just takes way too much water. So it's also been fun learning about different kinds of plants that, kind of like grow very well in your particular environment, and finding out what that is.
Nice. But and you also educate people how they can maintain those plants as well, right? Via TikTok and
yeah, absolutely. I think that there's a lot of information out there. I think a lot of people worry about not knowing what to do, and having that information relate to them in a way that they find entertaining or can remember. My goal is that they have a beautiful collection that lasts a long time, because there's nothing worse than getting discouraged about this new hobby that you have and then just giving it up altogether. And I want them to realize that, you know, for this plant, it grows in South Africa, and you're trying to grow it in a basement somewhere in a cold, bleak winter. And it's okay if it doesn't look amazing, because you've taken it out of its normal environment. But here are the things that you can do and try to mimic and have success. And when I get that feedback of, I've had my plants for 2 years now, you've really helped me, I mean, that's just so fulfilling.
Nice, nice. And with regards to that, could you share maybe some funny stories that you got feedback from your clients? Are there any funny stories?
I think the funniest thing for me is, you know, a lot of people call this an addiction. And I say, well, it's not an addiction, because there's no special meetings for the program. There's no 12-step program for you to quit. And I have had to make stickers for a couple of people that said, your free prize is inside, because they're spending so much money on plants that they want to make sure that their partner doesn't realize that they bought even more. So I've sent a few awards, as you might say, out there of free things just to kind of cover their addiction, so to say.
Yeah. Well, you know, from all addictions you can have, I guess this is a very healthy one.
I'd say that this is a very healthy one, and quite frankly, cheaper than therapy. So you can go to your plants anytime you want to without a copay and talk to them and feel better.
Yeah, and actually, it actually does wonders. You know, I know that I'm a hypnotherapist, and I'm schooled in Ericksonian hypnosis. And I know that Milton Erickson, he also had this story that he had this client that was very depressed, you know, and she actually wanted to commit suicide, or at least she didn't want to live longer anymore. And he gave her an assignment to grow a certain plants. I can't remember the name right now, but those are plants that they need a lot of care, right? Mm-hmm. And she had to grow those plants, and it totally took her mind off her own issues, right? Because she was totally focused on growing those plants. And she became like this plant person in her village, you know, and she gave, everybody went to church and got baptized, you know, they got a plant from her. And so she lived for years after that, only by the activity by growing those plants.
I totally believe it. And I do believe that there have also been some recent studies that there's like certain type of bacteria or something that's in the soil that also helps with like serotonin levels. So there is something to just getting your hands dirty and working with the ground and working with the soil. And yeah, the messages that I've had, as I mentioned, people saying it's their reason to get out of bed sometimes is, my plants need to get some water, you know, and if that's the catalyst that helps people and helps with their mental health, then I'm here to push that, because that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And it's
a much easier solution than a lot of things, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. So I love your slogan, you know, that to show plants you didn't even know you wanted. Does it mean that you go out and discover new species as well, or?
Not so much that I go and discover, because the kind of like the plants that I look for are fairly exotic to me. I'd have to go to South Africa or South America somewhere to find them. But here where I live, within very close proximity, there are dozens and dozens of growers, and each one of them seems to have kind of like a specialty. So as I'm curating my website and the things that are going in my website, I've probably been to 35 or 40 different places just to have the collection that I have. And it seems like every time I go back, oh, here's something different than maybe I haven't seen or someone else hasn't seen, or something that someone is looking for. So finding plants you didn't even know you wanted. I was just shocked at the varieties that are down here. And I know that not everybody has that. Like you said, sending plants to New York, there's no way that they're growing the same type of plants out there as they are over here. So to many, I have things that they don't even know they want because they just haven't seen them yet. So it's my job to show them what they want.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also wonderful that you already pointed it a little bit, that you actually got a very great following of loyal customers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe I did my analytics, and I have a 42% return customer rate, which I think is pretty darn good.
That's something you can brag about, I would say. Yeah. Wow. Nice. So what's the future look like for you if you're thinking about your business?
The future is actually quite amazing. Currently, I've decided I'm renting a space, but that wasn't working out. So we decided to bring the operation back home, because I was just working out of my garage. I'm still working out of my garage, but my plants were in a different location. So over the last couple of weeks, we've leveled some ground on our property, and we're currently building a nice pavilion that's going to serve as a greenhouse for me. And so I'm hoping to just expand and have more products. It'll just be a little bit easier for me to navigate all the things that I need to do with everything being closer. And then I'm working on some other projects. I have some merchandise. I'm a little bit fancy and a little bit of an artiste. And so I've designed some art related to plants and stuff. And I'm looking forward to having some merchandise put together that I keep talking about, but I promise I'll do one day. So those are the kinds of things I'm looking forward to. I've mentioned to a couple people I want to be like the Martha Stewart of succulents, and without the jail time. But now I've really reconsidered the jail time, because I'm willing to do like a small misdemeanor for a good cause and see how that works out.
Yeah, nice. So one thing we didn't point out yet is the name Partly Sunny Projects. How did you come up with that name?
That's actually a really weird story, because years and years ago, I wrote a screenplay for a television show that they were doing, I don't know, some kind of competition for. And my name is Sonja, and a couple of people call me Sunny. And this show was based on my life at the time, and it was partly me, right? So partly Sunny. And I've always kind of like that name. It's just Partly Sunny. And so Partly Sunny Projects was projects that are a little bit of me and a little bit of somebody else, because I can't take credit for everything. And I wanted a name because I do have the attention span of a gnat. I wanted a name that wasn't kind of like pigeonholing me into just doing one thing. I know that there's a lot of plant shops that call themselves, succulent this and succulent that. I'm like, yeah, but I want to do more things. I don't want it to just be just plants. So if I want to expand, I want to have like all the things. So Partly Sunny Projects, there it was.
Oh, wow. That's nice. I didn't think that. Of course, I started thinking about it, what the name could mean. And I could have imagined you got some some plants that can't be put in the direct sunlight, right? So they need half shadow,
yes.
half sunny. So I thought partly sunny projects, maybe it's related to that, but it's a totally different story.
Totally different story.
And still, I think it still fits the company.
Exactly. It was like, it was there. And I'm like, you know what? I never got a chance to like even turn my writing in, because I do enjoy writing as well. I've written a couple of stories for my children that I hope to publish one day. And I do want to write my own book for gardening and stuff. I have everything already in mind. And I'm like, I'm going to use that title somewhere in my life. And
nice.
So it fit.
Yeah. You know, a few episodes ago, I interviewed Lillian Brummett, who was one of my guests as well. And she is a professional writer, but she's also doing gardening and stuff like that. And she also got a recipe book. And so it's very interesting to see different views on gardening and plant loving and stuff like that. It's wonderful. So is there a reason why you chose the niche for cacti and succulents, or is it just the environment you're living in that made it that niche?
Really was the environment that I'm living in, because I was using it in my own landscape, and it was something that I really enjoy. I do have access to house plants as well. And there are people in my community that would love for me to sell those types of plants. But I feel like I just don't have the bandwidth and the care that's involved in taking care of those particular type of plants. And also they would require a different kind of shipping. Cactus are amazingly versatile and sturdy. And it was the sturdy part for me. I can stick them in a box. I actually had a little bit of procrastination paralysis, and I had a package returned back to me. And I was like, ugh, I don't even want to look at it. So I didn't. I had plants in a box, no kidding, for 2 months. And I finally said, oh, I should probably just take everything out and throw it away. And like, I don't know why, I just couldn't open this box. It was just irritating me that it was returned. And everything in there was fine. It was fine. It was 2 months in a box and it was pristine. It didn't look any worse for the wear. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is cool. So
yeah, definitely.
Right. So when I have customers that are a little bit concerned about their packages being delayed in the mail, I'm like, don't worry about it. It's fine. Yeah. Unless it's like 1,000 degrees outside or freezing weather, it's fine. So I inadvertently did my own scientific experiment, I guess.
Nice. So was there a certain specific reason why the package got returned, or?
Yeah, that's called working entirely too late and packaging the wrong plants for the wrong person. And the individual that received them was kind enough to let me know, this is the wrong package and this is $400 worth of plants I did not order. I don't feel right keeping them, so I'm going to return them to you.
Wow.
Which was, I literally have the best customers. Like, my customer service issues are completely non-existent because I just don't have any. And so she returned it, and I just felt like, I can't believe I got the wrong plants for the wrong person. And then the person they belonged to kind of fell off the face of the planet and never got back to me. So I was just like, I should have let her keep it, because quite frankly, the person that was going to order it never did. So that entire order was just irritating me. So that's why it stayed in the box.
Yeah. I can understand that. And it's, it's wonderful to hear you talk about plants. And, from the Netherlands, we are very, well, I would say famous, but that's, maybe it's only my belief. We're famous about our tulips, right? It's a Dutch flower.
Right. Yes.
And I have a colleague, and he actually had to ship them as well. And they had to go in just via mail. So that's a very interesting process to see that. To have 5 tulips go into a package and be shipped out and received at the address. And I think he had like 1,000 or 1,500 packages of those tulips shipped out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there was a lot of manual work also to make the packages.
Yeah, there's an exorbitant amount of work that goes into it, because nothing in that box can shake around. It can get really beat up by the postal system. And so I don't currently, other than my husband and I, there's no other employees. So every package gets put together by me. And I just make sure that they're going to arrive at the destination, and that opening of that box is a happy moment for them.
Nice, nice. I'm afraid we can talk hours about following your passion, you know, and the love you show for what you're doing. Even though, you know, what I mentioned in the introduction, you know, you're sending emails at 3:30 a.m. sometimes. But would you say that what you're doing, that you're actually doing, do you consider that being work, or is it you do what you love to do full time and people are willing to pay for it?
I think definitely the latter. While there are some days where the kind of like the mundane, the packaging, it's not so exciting, but I know that the end result of that is really what I'm striving for. Also, at this point in my life, I would make a horrible employee. I don't think I could ever go back and work for anyone else, because I would just be miserable. You know, at 2:00 in the afternoon, if I'm tired, I go take a nap. If I want to work at 3 a.m., I work at 3 a.m. So it allows for me to just kind of have a different type of life. And so is that necessarily work? I don't know. I mean, I need to eat. So I'm willing to do the things that I need to eat. I would just prefer doing this and not have kind of the restrictions I would have otherwise by working for somebody else, because, you know, no one is going to work as hard for my goals as I'm going to work for myself. And
Exactly.
So why would I work for somebody else's goals when the return on that is not going to be what I want it to be? To give of myself to someone else for their profits instead of my own just seems silly right now.
Especially right now. Yeah. I totally relate to that. One question before I'm going to the next one. How does the entrepreneurship came to you? Did you have any experience before, or did it just happen and you grew into it?
So about even more than 20 years ago, if you could call it my first business, and I suppose that it was, I was doing some art. I was painting birdhouses and going to art shows, but that was kind of like the extent of being an entrepreneur, that I was taking something on my own and I was making my own money by going to the art show circuit and stuff. And that lasted for a little while. And then I got a job that was paying me a lot more with a lot less effort. And doing artwork is a little bit of a burnout, because even though you're trying to be very creative, other people come to you and they're like, well, I want it blue, but not that color blue. And I'm like, well, you get what you get, because this is the color blue I want to paint.
Yeah.
So the criticism and the critiques that kind of came from that kind of took the joy out of it. So, but this was a completely different sort of venture. You know, I'm 51. I am not the poster child of social media. I know that this is a podcast and probably just audio, but I assure you, this face right here was never really meant to be on video, and it is every day. So here we are. So this was completely different. And setting up my website, I don't know nothing about nothing when it comes to setting up a website. And there were nights that I just cried. I wanted to take my computer and simply toss it out the window, because I just didn't know what I was doing. I set up the shipping wrong. I used ounces instead of pounds. Oh, disaster. Like, tons of money gone because I didn't set up the shipping profile correctly. So, but I was just determined that I was going to learn how to do it because I felt like there really wasn't another option. And it's like, if somebody else can do this, there's no reason why you can't. And that just was the driving force to get things done. And as I've made mistakes, the fun part about it is I'm sharing it with my audience, and they see that there are mistakes involved. And I hope that, yes, I want them all to buy my plants, but I also want to encourage them that if I can do this as an immigrant to the United States, English being my second language, I'm in my early 50s. I'm not sure what's keeping someone else that has way more opportunity for doing something that they enjoy. You just have to work at it. You just have to put in the time and the effort and ask people and learn. Google is free. All the information you will ever need it's pretty much out there. And then surround yourself with people, with like-minded people that are willing to help you, to just even encourage you. And those are the things that you can do for yourself to make your life in a better place. So,
yeah. Wow, that was already a lot of tips. And I actually wanted to ask you if you could share a little tip or piece of wisdom with the audience, what would it be? But you already did. Or is there something else that you could share?
Yeah, and it's a newer thing that's happened over the last little bit here. And that is, and I feel very strongly about it. And that is collaboration. And what I mean by that is, I often see in small business arenas that the people that are running their businesses are very possessive over everything that they do, and they feel like someone's going to get the better of them. And I'm the complete opposite. I feel that rising tides will lift all ships. And if you can find a friend in the business, literally your business, maybe even a competitor, which is what I have. And I feel very blessed to have her in my life. She is a direct competitor to me. And instead of looking at her with like sharp, dagger eyes that she's taking something from me, we're giving to each other. We call and text each other just about every day. Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, how much are you selling this plant for? Hey, do you want to go in on an order? Because we're both so small that we're more powerful together, purchasing items together, than we would be on our own. And having someone where, she'll give me a call and she's like, oh, I have this customer, or I have this person kind of like backlash on social media. And I'm like, hold on. And I start writing a reply, just to kind of give someone else's point of view that maybe isn't in the stew of it. And she's like, okay, I can use this, this, and this. And she does the same for me. So I think having basically a comrade in arms as you're both going through this, and maybe I'm wrong, but women especially, we need to have a friend in business that we don't look at as competition. I think we're steered to be very competitive against each other, and we shouldn't be. We should really be working together for each other's goals, and know that there's plenty of business to go around, that people buy from people that they like. And there's definitely going to be people that like me, and there's definitely going to be people that don't like me. And you have your own people that like you and will prefer to buy from you. And there's nothing wrong with even sharing those clients. But I think working together, French, chef kiss, it's delicious. It's delicious.
Yeah, wonderful. And I totally agree with you. I'm part of a business network, and one of their quotes is changing the world does business. And it's also giver's gain. So cooperation is much stronger and goes further than competition, in my opinion. So
absolutely.
I totally relate to what you're saying. So if people want to know more about you, or get in touch with you, or maybe even order some plants with you, how can they do that?
Very easily. They can find me pretty much on any social media platform with a username Partly Sunny Projects, and my website is at partlysunnyprojects.com. Currently, I do only sell plants in the United States, so if you're stateside, that's where you can find me.
Great. So it was lovely to talk to you, Sonja. we're connected, so I would love to stay in touch with you, and especially when you go global with your company.
Right?
Right. So, yeah, I wish you all the best, Sonja, and let's keep in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.